10K give us a basic understanding of what the company operates. It concludes the main service and projects of this company. It can also include some more information like subsidiaries it owns, the market it operates in. I think these are very important details for us to study the operation field of this company. But we find that existing way is that we use k-means to do the clustering when we try to identify the industry. I think it could be problematic. So I want to use a more soft way to do the clustering, or maybe we don't use software, but we can give more insight to the relationship between one company, between its main industry and other industries involved in. So we can see that the existing method, the main problem is that it don't consider the cross-industry companies. We can take Amazon as an example. We know that Amazon has a series of subsidiaries, include almost everything. We know that they sell recorded books, they sell online shows, they have many business from retailing to data analysis, everything. So, but we find that the new trend is that nowadays companies will have multiple incentives to operate in a cross-industry way. These companies may want to increase the results that other companies that can provide. Maybe they only want to enter a new market, so they have more and more subsidiaries. And many companies are expanding their operation field. We know that the number of cross-industry companies will keep increasing. So this new method can be important. As to the contributions, I think the most direct contribution is that it can improve the performance of the cybersecurity risk disclosure score, CRDS, especially for the cross-industry firms. And that's my next step. My next step is to use this method to measure the usefulness of this cybersecurity disclosure compared with CRDS to the previous paper. This approach can also provide a more detailed insight to the industry structure, so we can know how companies are operating in cross-industry ways and to what extent.
Sorry to interrupt. Are we still on the same screen, or? Because I can. We are okay. Just making sure. I didn't know if I am only like if it was stuck. Sorry.
I'm talking about the potential contribution.
Sorry.
It's fine. It can also help us have a better understanding of the connections among different industries, because now we can know how different industries are connected to each other. I think with some modification, this method has the potential to be applied to industry clustering for different research purposes. Let's have a brief literature review. We know that there are many existing literature using text mining skills.
Interrupt.
Yeah.
So you only have about 5 minutes. Maybe you can go to your methodology part directly, because I think this will take time. Yeah. Okay, I will finish this within very soon. We know that bag of word has some potential problems, which is it will lose some information. It will lose the order of the words, and it will lose the relationship between different words. So we can now use word2vec and doc2vec, especially doc2vec in this case. Doc2vec have a numeric vector that includes vector for different documents, so we can study the relationship between different documents. And in the existing GPGI validation, they use a survey, web-based survey, and I think I can still use it, but with some modification. I'll talk about it later. The research method here we will use is
first we get the data from all the technical file from the official website of SEC, and we'll use the data between between 2012 and 2018, and we find that we have 54,496 files. And after we clean the data, now we only have 39,434 files. And the algorithm here, my first way is to use the first CC mean, but as we know that existing literature told us that first CC mean has a real problem when it's had to deal with a high dimension problem. So in this case, the data file have very high dimension, about 5,000. So it can be about 5,000 for each year. It can be the real problem. So I try to use PCA to do that. Existing literature told us that further mean works well only if they have 5 or no more than 20 features. So that can be a problem. I'm still working on it. So an alternative way is that we still keep the centroid of the k-means, which means that we know that each company only belongs to one main industry. However, we want to study the relationship between each point and the centroid of other industry. So what I did is that I checked the distance to each centroid. Here I set a threshold. The reason is that every company have sort of relationship to other industries. However, some of them are very mild and they don't have a great impact on the clustering. So I just send a threshold, one standard deviation, and filter other ones. We can take the data in 2016 as an example. We know that about 2,500 out of the 5,400 files have more than one industry that is close enough to it. The next step is that I normalize those who are highly related industries and get the proportion that each company can belong to each industry. We know that sometimes we want a more accurate segmentation instead of a very bulk one-time k-mean. So we also try to do the clustering on the second stage, but we will still keep the first stage k-mean, and we will use this proposed way on their second stage, on their subset of each cluster is based on the first stage k-mean. Then we can have a more accurate result. To have a better understanding of this, we can, you can see this is a result I got from Python code. We can see that if we only use the k-mean ways, we can know that maybe the first 4 companies, they all belong to the industry 0. But if we use this new proposed ways, we can know that in fact the first company belongs to 2 industries, 0 and 21. And we also give a proportion based on the distance to the centroid. And other companies, maybe they only belong to 1 industry. It's get the same answer as literature. Yes, and if we do a second stage on it, we can know that this one belongs to the first stage cluster of 0, and further clustering told us it also belongs to 1 and 4 for the sub clustering, and we also have a proportion to show us the relationship between them. Also, we also need a way to validate whether it is a good way to do this. So I have a validation plan. The first one is very simple. It's use direct validation, the same as the existing literature, but we need to survey with a large sample, and we need to compare the accuracy among cross-industry companies and one industry companies, so we can know whether this company is Another one is indirect validation. Maybe we can just compare this one with the traditional one with only one time aiming, and we can first test on CRDS, and then we can also test on other field. That's a plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I just get confused while you present, because I remember last time when you introduced your project, you mentioned that you want to also, so I just want to first ask, so what is the problem you want to solve here? What is your research question?
Yes, I think this article is just one part of my future paper, because the ultimate way is to kind of use this new method to improve the existing CRDS one. And I think if we can use this one to calculate CRDS instead of the existing one, maybe we can have a better result. Of course, this is just a methodology, and yes, because we can know that the existing ones, they don't work well for the cross-industry companies, because we can see that cross-industry companies, they don't only belong to one industry. Yes, that's just a methodology.
I don't understand. Can you just explain what you mean cross-industry companies?
Yes, it means that one company that have operation in more than one industry. Because
we're talking about companies with consolidated financial statements of subsidiaries.
No, because this one is the data we got is based from 10K. I mean that maybe we can see that just still use Amazon as example. If we use traditional ways, maybe we just get 10 cluster, maybe 10 cluster of all the 10K files, and we say, oh, we have 10 industries, and everyone just can belong to and only can belong to one industry. But when we raise the 10K files, we can find, in fact, there are many variability in these 10K files, and we know that this company, they are not exactly belong to one industry. They may belong to maybe one industry and another industry. So we want to kind of know the relationship, but we still need a cluster, because the cluster can.
You seen the paper, the Xuan Peng and Kexing Ding about using ratios for industry specification?
No.
In Horizons? Okay, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So I think that you may need to be more clear about the current methodology of classifying the industries, right? So you mentioned that the current methodology is using K-means. So
yes.
So now you are proposing a new way, which is the fuzzy Z-means, right? So you may need to be clear about what's the problems with the current method of using K-means. It can be what you mentioned, it only has, let's say, 10 cluster or 8 cluster. You need to be more specific about what are the problems with the current method. And now you have a new method, you may need to explain what are the benefits, like how exactly can this new method solve the issues that the old method has. And
yes.
And after you use your new method to come up with your new classification, you may need to use some methods to, let's say you will say, oh, I validated this results by running some analysis, and it shows that the new classification is better in some applications than the old way. So you may also need to corroborate on those aspects. So I guess I was just a little bit confused about what are the issues here, because previously I remember a few weeks ago you mentioned that one issue with the current like from Arian's paper, you said they classify industries every year, right? Using their methods. There is no time series consistency. So I got confused about the research question. Like,
yes. So sorry. Sorry for the confusion. Yes, I also want to solve the time series problem, but this proposal is a different one because I told Professor Miklos, if we want to know study the time series, we need to do first we need to calculate the CIDS, and based on the calculating power I have, maybe it takes several more weeks to get the results. So it can be finished in this semester. So I just focus on one stage, which is the class identification